This is the Warm Audio Ringerbringer. Let's take a look. The Ringerbringer is based on the MF-102 Ring Modulator from Moog or Moog. It has a very distinctive sound. It's very easy for it to sound downright ridiculous, but there are also some really usable effects that can be achieved using ring modulators. I'm not going to go deep into how a ring modulator works in this video. I'm sure you really just want to hear the thing in action, and there are many videos that go into the science of it. And actually, I'd recommend looking at the original MF-102 user manual for one of the most thorough and useful explanations of this effect. So well done to them for giving that level of detail, and of course for bringing this particular design to the world in the first place. Now Warm Audio are providing this format at a much lower price point, and that naturally opens it up to a wider audience. This is now something that you can more easily afford to integrate into your setup, be it as a guitarist, as a synth player, or even as a studio engineer in my case. The price of the Ringerbringer is now around €250, which is less than half what you might expect to pay for a used MF-102. But you're in luck. If you use the link in the description below, you can grab an exclusive 20% discount on the Ringerbringer for just the first 5 customers. So you won't see many discounts on these as they're so new and they're selling very fast. If you want to get one at that lower price, be quick, head over to the Pro Audio Boutique web shop using the link below. Now I think it's time to get on with some audio demos. I'm going to hook this up through the console and try out a few different ways of using this from a studio point of view. So to make this a little bit different, I wanted to use the pedal in a couple of ways that you might not have thought of using it. And this is in a studio setting rather than as a guitarist or a synth player. And what I'm doing here is I'm mixing a song, and I've got a point in the song where there's a big crescendo, there's a extra really distorted guitar that comes in. And I wanted the bass guitar to sort of follow in that in terms of the tone. And a really nice thing you can do with this, yes, I could just automate some distortion to come into that point on the bass, but you can do that with this pedal, and you get the tonality of a different signal added into the audio input. So what I've done is I've routed the bass guitar as the audio input on the back, and then the carrier input, which is the signal that modulates the audio input, is coming from that distorted guitar that just comes in that section. And so then if I mix that in, it means that my bass is just the normal signal until that guitar comes in, and then it starts to take on the characteristics of that distorted guitar, and you get some distortion that's added in. And then as that part goes away, you go back to the normal bass sound. So it's a sort of automation, if you like, but it's not just distortion, it's actually modulating the sound with a distorted sound. And it gives you a really interesting, unique sound. So let's have a little listen to that. Then for my second demo, in the same song, particularly in the verses, I wanted the toms and the snare to have a sort of deep, resonant, rich reverb sound. Now, again, I could just add a reverb, but it wasn't quite giving me the deepness that I wanted, particularly from the snare, which was a little bit higher tuned than perhaps I would have wanted. But that's okay. What we can do is we can use the Ringerbringer again. What I'm doing here is I'm using the mix at full and the modulator that's inside the Ringerbringer itself this time, setting the frequency to high, and I'm looking at around sort of 50-60 hertz for the frequency. Now, if I send just the tom and the snare mics into this sounds very weird when it's dry, but when you put a reverb onto it, you don't really get that strange sound anymore. You just get the sound of the toms and the snare, but you can vary the pitch of it by using the different frequency settings on here. So if I show you what it sounds like if I kind of sweep around the frequencies and turn the pedal on and off, you'll hear that the reverb is sounding deeper, and it's sounding like you're playing a lower pitched lower tuned snare and toms. Here we go, have a little listen to this. So I hope those demos give you some inspiration to try out the Ringerbringer for yourself. The obvious appeal, of course, is to guitarists and synth enthusiasts, but this can really add some creative flair to your studio productions. If you fancy hooking it up as an insert or sending certain things to it, just seeing where your imagination takes you. And actually I found this really helpful and really inspiring to get some different effects on my recent mixes. It's a great effect with very attractive price, and as I mentioned, if you want to get an even better price, please consider using the link below to get that exclusive 20% discount while stocks last. Now, that's all for now. I'll see you in the next video.